Hello, in the video I'm going to talk about a homemade game engine that I made called LittleWorm Engine. So first in the video I'm going to talk about the architecture of LittleWorm Engine, and then I'm going to talk about how to modify game objects in the game scene using the editor that LittleWorm Engine provides. And then I'm going to talk about how to control game objects and create game mechanics by using scripts and the APIs that LittleWorm Engine provides. So let's start. Okay, so first let's talk about the architecture of LittleWorm Engine. So as you can see here, the core that I'm pointing at is the main program of the engine, and the program is divided into 3 threads. Each thread is a loop, and let's first talk about the orange one. So each loop in the orange one represents a frame of the game, and in each frame, the orange thread will execute each component attached to each game object in the game scene, and the component is interface that are implemented into different components. And for example, the mesh renderer is the render system of the game engine, and the transform contains the information, the position, the rotation, and scale of the game object it attached to. And for the camera, it represents the virtual camera in the game scene. And finally, for the collider, there are 2 shapes of collider in the game engine, and the collider take responsibility of physics simulation and collision detection. And as you can see down here, there are designer's code. So the designer's code is the code of the designer that are also used to control the game engine, which we are going to talk about in the third part of the video. And then let's talk about the second loop, the blue one. So in the blue thread, it takes responsibility for the physics simulation, and as you can see here, it communicates with the colliders, so the information will be updated each loop. And finally, let's talk about the editor thread, the pink one. So this thread take responsibility of representing and running the editor, which we are going to talk about next. So next, allow me to introduce you to the editor of LittleWorm Engine. The editor is an user interface that can help the designer build game scenes without having to write a single line of code. In order to use the editor, the program has to be run under the editor mode. By doing so, the editor user interface will pop up along with the game scene, as you can see at the right down corner. And as you can see here, we already have a game object in the scene. So let's try to modify the game object. So first, we can change its position by change the positions X, Y, and Z under the transformation component, like this. And then we can change its rotation as well, like this. And finally, If you want to make it smaller, you can, or bigger, you can change its scale like this. And let's say you want to change the model of the game object. You can select the obj file under the mesh list. So all these files are the obj files that I previously import into the resource folder. And for example, if I want to change it into a cube, into a box, I can select the box uh, model, and then because the box is too small, the box model is too small, so let's change its scale into 1. Okay, and by doing so, you will be able to see the box. However, the box looks a little bit weird. It's because we haven't changed its texture yet. So next, let's change its texture into the right one. And now, as you can see, we have a box. And finally, let's talk about the collider. So this green bar represents the collider, the shape of the collider. And we can change its position and as well as its size in order for the collider to really fit the model. And we can also set the collider. So right now the collider is a ridge body, and if we want to change it into let's say a trigger, we can select the trigger box like this, and now it's set into a trigger. So that's how you use the editor to modify the game scene in LittleWorm Engine. So finally, let's talk about how to use scripts to create game mechanics and control game object in LittleWorm Engine. So the scripts have to inherit from designer program, and as you can see here, the start function will be executed at the beginning when the game object is created. And so you can do things like initialization or anything else that you want the game object to execute when it is created. And then in the update, code will be executed every frame in every frame of the game. So you can implement functionalities such as moving and attacking. For example, like here, by pressing WSA and D, the player will be able to move around, and by pressing the left button of the mouse, the player will be able to shoot bullets. And in the shoot function, first the program create a bullet, and then the program gives the bullet a speed, so the bullet will move forward. And there are a lot of other function and APIs that you can use provided by LittleWorm Engine. For example, like here we have collision detection, and this is the script of the bullet. So in here, when the bullet hits the enemy, the bullet and the enemy will both be destroyed. And we also have other different APIs such as rotation matrix and random generation function that you can use. And with the help of with the APIs that LittleWorm Engine provided, the designer will be able to create amazing games. So that will be all for this video, and if you are interested in what game I created using LittleWorm Engine, the description below are 2 videos of the games that I created using LittleWorm Engine. And thank you for your time. Bye bye.